Hey everyone, good afternoon. Ryan talking from the Black Room here at T3. Hope everybody's having a good day today. The market has been really back and forth. We could actually, I didn't even think about it, but we could actually recap from the video I did on the market a couple days ago, because we didn't get any follow through to the upside, which is what I was waiting for, which was a little bit surprising. But kind of just forming this range now, which we can talk about. But the market has been moving everything so much at the Open. As you guys know, I really like playing professional gaps at the Open. That's really the only thing that I play at the Open. And even the market with the increased volatility has had a huge impact on the professional gaps. So it really has not been the easiest trading environment at all. I think we're really kind of in earnings season now, and so I was able to turn up the aggression pretty much this week. I felt like the gaps list got a much better, and so far it's been a slow start with the market. There hasn't been a whole lot of setups, and so today I came in thinking that one, I was going to give, because of the market was gapping up a bunch from yesterday's climactic sell setup, I wanted to go after really the best thing that I had, and that was the Twitter for me. So I wanted to kind of discuss this because it was a really nice trade. Ended up making 4 Rs for me, and I figured that we could break this down because this is it's really a low tier 1 gap for me. There's a couple things that could have been better on this if the weekly chart was in an uptrend. But besides that, I mean, that's really the only thing that was kind of hurting the Twitter, was the weekly chart was in a downtrend. But, well, I guess I can't say it's in a downtrend, has retested major support on the weekly chart. So besides that, I mean, it was really a perfect gap for me, and we got a perfect setup at the Open. So let's jump right in here. So a couple things to get out of the way here. I took a picture of this from the room. So at 9:31, I posted Twitter long over high of the day, stop low of the day. And then at 9:47, I trailed the stop on Twitter to 31.25 once we got a 2-minute significant pivot. It did not take this stop out. And then at 10:07, so I posted this in the chat first, just to make sure that everybody saw. But at 10:07, it says, here's me, that I said trail all Twitter 1 minute bar by bar. And so that was the call that I posted. And then here is my, let's see here, let me open this. So, and this is what I did today. The Twitter bought here, 400 shares. So I trade $200 risk. So it was a 50-cent stop for me. And here's my entry price, here's my exit price, and then here's the times, which are the same times. A little bit after 9:31, and then the 10:07 exit. Okay? So, and that's all I did today. That's the only trade I took. There were a couple other really nice calls. In fact, Sammy actually mentioned the Twitter. My exit on the long, Sammy mentioned the Twitter as a short, which you'll see why he mentioned that as soon as we go over this. Okay, so, all right, so now that we got the housekeeping out of the way, let's start with, so pre-market, why did I like the Twitter? Well, Qs were gapping up today, okay? They were gapping up inside of yesterday's red bar, all right? So let me pull up the Qs here and bring another chart over here. So here's the Qs, okay? So we had that big red bar yesterday. Let me make this a little bit bigger. Okay, so we had that big red bar yesterday. We're gapping up in the lower half of yesterday's red bar, okay? Still inside at the time, whoops, let me go to the 60-minute, still inside a 60-minute downtrend here. All right, let me make this a little bit bigger. Still inside a 60-minute downtrend. Okay, so I thought the gap up was somewhat bullish, that we were gapping up, but follow-through was going to be very important. Okay, and we didn't really get follow-through until like 20 minutes into the Open, if I recall correctly. Yeah, till here. right? So almost exactly 20 minutes into the open. So we kind of chopped sideways a little bit. We moved lower and had a hard reversal, and then we ended up breaking out here. All right, so we kind of just went sideways in this base, and then we started breaking out. And you'll see because Twitter actually retested here, which is when we moved our stop, and then we broke out to the upside here. Now, the reason why I'm covering the market buys in the morning and also the 60-minute chart is because the gap on Twitter wasn't gapping up inside of yesterday's bar. It was clearing this entire base here, right? So we have a very clear base on the Twitter here, and we were gapping up over this base. So anybody that was short yesterday in Twitter after we kind of had this topping tail, so kind of this buy setup failure, anybody that got short yesterday is immediately underwater significantly. Not necessarily the case on the Qs. Now, the Qs ended up getting bought, but if somebody got short on the Qs here, just because we gapped up here doesn't mean that they're underwater. They're actually still green if they got short here, right? But the difference with the Twitter is we ended up clearing this base, all right? So that's one thing. We ended up clearing this base, breaking this downtrend. The second thing is that we had a lot of shock value here. Let me make this a little bit bigger, right? So we had a lot of shock value here because we had this red bar yesterday. So there was a lot of selling that took place yesterday, and then we immediately reversed this. Okay, so that's the second thing. The third thing, if we look at this price action here, where we're gapping up is that there is some void created by these wide range bars. Okay, so we have some void to play with. So we're in a nice location here, breaking the daily trend, have shock value. Let's jump out to the weekly chart, which is what I told you was the only thing that was not as good about it, right? So the weekly chart did a buy setup failure here and retested the support. So it's not technically in a downtrend, but it's neutral, and we are retesting the significant pivot here. All right, it is a retest. Now, that being said, I would kind of expect this because we're trying to do a monthly buy setup on a newly established uptrend here. All right. All right. So because of all of that, this gap on the Twitter is my favorite gap this morning. Okay. So this was the favorite gap for me. Now, so I'm looking to play this long. All right. So let's jump into the entry pattern, okay? Because it was right at the open. All right, so I'm going to scroll over here to the 1 minute. And, okay, here we go. 1 minute opened here, we had a bottoming tail. So my favorite pattern at the open, like right at the open, my favorite pattern in general, which I've talked about, is the buy setup with a retest that triggers, right? That's my favorite pattern in general. But at the open, it takes a while for that pattern to form. So at the open, my favorite pattern is twin bottoming tails or twin topping tails, right? And that's what we got here. See these twin bottoming tails? It's exactly what we got here. So what would the price action look like? Well, we got sold, moved up, got sold again, moved up, and then we broke out. Okay, that's the price action that took place inside of these two candles when they were forming. All right, so we kind of have this double bottom, and then we have a breakout. So at the open, this is my favorite in the first 1, 2, 3 minutes. I like this even more than a 1, 2, 3 pattern. The twin bottoming tail or twin topping tail pattern is my favorite pattern at the open. That's exactly what we got. So what happened was we had this candle, and this candle was red at this point, and we started getting bought here, and that's when I posted it. So there's plenty of time to play this long, but I posted it as we retested and started moving up. I wanted to make sure that I had enough time to get my order in the system so that other people had enough time to get their order in the system. So I did post this with plenty of time, right? I mean, probably like, I don't know, maybe 45 seconds or something, which doesn't sound like a lot, but if you trade the open, that's all the time in the world, 45 seconds. And yeah, so we were retesting here, bounced off the lows, and that's when I posted it. Because I knew that if this broke the high of the day, that it was going to trigger this twin bottoming tail pattern just by where this opened and as I was watching it. And I knew that that was going to be my favorite pattern. And so out of everything that I was looking at this morning, this was it. This was the go-to. It was the favorite gap, and it set up the favorite pattern. Okay? So we mentioned before when the market pulled in, that's what happened at the Twitter here. Now, I want to point something out here because I don't know if anybody did, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if people did, and this was a common mistake that I would make. See how we got this little consolidation here? This is not a significant area for me personally. This isn't a significant pivot. This is just a small consolidation here. And I don't think it's a coincidence at all that we broke this consolidation by 5 pennies here. And as soon as we broke that little consolidation, it immediately reversed. This is why I think it's very critical for me personally that I only move my stop when I get significant pivots. Because I think that there was a lot of people that possibly went long here, were able to trail, just about break even, and got shaken out by a couple pennies. Right? Now, again, this was up an hour and a half, so this was up like, I don't know, $360 or something. $350 or something like that. Or $300, whatever it was. And then went slightly negative. Okay, so that doesn't necessarily feel good, especially when you get this wide range bar against you. All right? But this is why it's so important for me to manage the stock by significant pivots, because those are the significant areas, and the only time I want to get out of the position is when the trend fails. Okay? So this is the long. Very simple. After we got this was a 2-minute significant pivot. Why was it a 2-minute significant pivot for me? Because we did a buy setup that contained more than 5 candles. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 5th candle broke the high. All right? So once we got this, that's when I moved my stop up. Right at 9:47, I moved it up to 31.25, which you saw in the post. Right? So then we moved our stop here, which made it like if it stopped out a half-hour loss, and then we got this nice move higher, and then we got this climactic run-up. Now, I was a little bit worried here whether we were going to get a chance to, how I was going to manage this, because this 200 here, and 200 MA, and also making a deep retracement into these wide range bars, we're getting into a target area here, right? $34. And so as this moved up, the market also moved up as well, which was also very helpful. And we ended up going somewhat climactic here, right? So we got this wide range bar here, right, after this breakout and consolidation. And then, see, we got this wide range bar on volume. That's when I put the call in, or the post in. No, this isn't it. What am I doing here? Sorry. What am I doing here? Let me go back here. Let's put the markers on. This will help. Okay, long, here's the exit, right? Once we got this accelerated move up here, right, we got a nice move, we're kind of grinding here, and then all of a sudden we start to accelerate. Qs at the same time, I'll show you the Qs. So what time is this? This is coming into 9:05, 9:10. Here's the Qs again. We'll go back and look at right here, 9:05, 9:10, right? Wide range bar, breakout failure, inside bar, right? And that's where we trailed, 1 minute bar by bar. So, and that's where we got out, which was, and believe me, it's not always like this, but we got out literally at like the high of the day. I mean, the high of the day was 33.67, and we got out at 33.44. Right, so we literally got out at the high of the day. Yeah, so very nice trade, very seamless. Did have to live through this, but that wasn't that big of a deal. If you were willing to live through that, and then just held. Well, why did I hold? Well, one, I switched up my management strategy, but the other thing is, it's the best gap out there. There's no reason why this shouldn't get to this 200 MA. That's what I felt like, especially when the market broke out. Right after the breakdown failure and broke out, there was no reason why this shouldn't get to the 200 MA. And so that's why we just held the whole position. Right? That's why we got the 4Rs. All right. Okay, so hopefully this is helpful. Keep an eye out for these gaps. We're going to get some more of these in the next couple of weeks. So keep an eye out for these gaps. And also, in the opening 1-2 minutes, keep an eye out for these twin bottoming tails or twin topping tails if you're looking to play short on a professional gap down. Right? So keep an eye out for this pattern. All right? So, hopefully you guys are having a good day. We did start earnings season, so there's a lot of stuff to look at. I got to get ready to go on the mic here in 15 minutes, so I'm going to jump off. And let me know if you guys have any questions. Just put them in the comments or something, or feel free to email me, and I will talk to you guys later. Hope you guys have a good day. Take care.